At 2:46 a.m., the skies over Abidjan lit up with tension. Radar alarms blared as 3 unregistered military aircraft streaked across the Gulf of Guinea, silent and swift. Within minutes, communication towers south of the capital went dark. Then, the news broke. 700 French special forces had landed, their mission to reinstate ousted President Alassane Ouattara. Panic erupted. Markets emptied. Mothers pulled children indoors. Gas stations shut down. France wasn't sending diplomats, it was sending soldiers. Screens across West Africa flashed red with alerts. Journalists scrambled for cover. On social media, chilling phrase trended worldwide: the coup of the coup. Inside the presidential security room, Commander Côte stood frozen over a satellite map. An officer burst in. "Sir, they've landed." Côte didn't flinch. "Is the People's Line still open?" he asked. A nod. "Then we go live." Meanwhile in Paris, President Macron signed off on Operation Cassop, a covert mission to restore stability. He knew the world would condemn it, but he feared losing France's grip on its former colony even more. What Paris didn't expect: the Ivorian military wasn't hiding, they were waiting. Just 9 days earlier, Côte d'Ivoire had witnessed a miracle. No bullets, no tanks, just a quiet uprising. Soldiers, tired of oppression, refused orders. Commander Amadou Kone, a loyal officer, had stood before his men and said, "If power no longer serves the people, we serve the people instead." By dawn, Ouattara was handed a choice: resign or lose everything. By evening, he was gone. The streets erupted, not in violence, but in tears of relief. Now, as French boots hit the ground, a new question loomed. Would the world watch as history repeated itself? And somewhere in the shadows, a name whispered through the region: Captain Ibrahim Traoré. The game had just begun. Paris in panic. The secret war for West Africa has begun. The room was ice cold. France's foreign minister slammed his fist on the table. "We've lost Burkina Faso. We've lost Mali. We've lost Niger. Now, Abidjan. What's left?" A heavy silence fell. Someone muttered, "Senegal, for now." Macron stood motionless. "We made Ouattara our man. We armed him, protected his deals, and now he flees like a commoner." A military advisor dared to speak. The people didn't abandon him, the army did. That was the crack in France's facade. For decades, France Afrique, the shadow empire of contracts, bases and bribes, had propped up loyalists. Now, in just 2 years, it was collapsing. Traoré expelled French troops from Burkina Faso. Goïta in Mali arrested French-linked spies. Tiani in Niger shut French planes out of the sky. And now, Côte d'Ivoire, France's golden child, had turned. "We bring him back," Macron ordered, "with or without approval. We cannot lose another Africa." That night, deep in the Ministry of Defense, maps were spread, targets circled. Operation Cassiopeia was born, a silent, lethal mission to reinstate Ouattara. No flags, no press, just 700 elite commandos deploying from Chad, staging in Senegal, landing covertly outside Abidjan. Jammers would silence communications. Drones would blind tracking systems. "We get in, restore him, get out," a colonel said. "The world will thank us by morning." But West Africa was watching. Burkina Faso's intel intercepted the whispers of Cassiop. The warning reached Commander Amadou Kone in Abidjan. He didn't panic. "They're coming for him," he told his officers. Across the region, a red phone rang. Captain Ibrahim Traoré answered. His message was simple: "Hold your ground, we're coming." At 4:38 a.m., Abidjan woke to the roar of jets. Radars died, phones went silent. Then black-clad commandos hit the ground, moving like ghosts toward key targets. But the people weren't afraid, they were furious. Streets flooded with bodies, taxi drivers, mothers, students, blocking roads with their defiance. "This is our land," they chanted. No more puppets. France had bet on silence. West Africa answered with a roar. The French blackout came too late. Viral live streams had already spread across the continent, none more powerful than the teenage girl screaming into her phone, "Tell Macron we're not his colony. We are Côte d'Ivoire." In a fortified command center behind Abidjan's presidential palace, Commander Kone activated a secure line to Ouagadougou. They've landed. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's response was calm. "Make them pay for every inch." The battle lines were drawn. French commandos moved through the city, but the streets belonged to the people. Market stalls became barricades. Taxis blocked roads. Women linked arms in front of military checkpoints. Abidjan was no longer just a city, it was the front line of Africa's future. In a bunker beneath Ouagadougou, Traoré watched real-time reports. French forces encircling the airport, Ivorian civilians forming human chains. Without hesitation, he turned to his generals. Prepare Operation Noma. At 9 a.m., every screen across the Sahel went black, then lit up with Traoré's face. No French flags, no diplomatic niceties, just a soldier's cold warning. This is not France against Côte d'Ivoire. This is the past against the future. If France wants war, it will get all of Africa. Within hours, AES drones patrolled Ivorian airspace. Anti-air batteries hummed to life on borders. Militias mobilized. The message was clear: no retreat. In Abidjan, a French officer sent Côte an ultimatum: stand down, let Ouattara return. Côte laughed: tell them this isn't 1960. Outgunned but unbroken, his forces dug in alongside civilians, students, mothers, shopkeepers, turning the city into a fortress of burning tires and defiance. At noon, Côte's face flashed across hacked networks worldwide. You want your puppet back? Then drag him over our bodies. The world is watching. We will not fall as ghosts, we will stand as men. Europe gasped. Africa roared. History was being written, not in Paris, but in the streets of Abidjan. Paris was burning, not with revolution, but with shame. Macron's approval ratings cratered overnight as protesters flooded the Champs-Élysées, their chants echoing across the Seine, not in our name. Meanwhile, in Abidjan, a single bullet cracked the afternoon silence. A French sniper's warning shot near a civilian barricade. The crowd didn't scatter. They stood taller. What happened next was broadcast raw and uncensored to the world. Tear gas choked the air as French commandos advanced, but they weren't fighting soldiers. They were fighting with a nation. Live streams from cracked phone screens showed the truth. Western media wouldn't. A teenage girl whispering, they said this was peace, but they're shooting at us. A wounded man dragged by French troops screaming, this is our land. The digital uprising exploded faster than France could censor it. 3 hashtags became West Africa's war cry. Celebrities, activists, and ordinary citizens from Lagos to Nairobi amplified the footage, calling it what it was: neocolonialism live in real time. In Ouagadougou, Captain Traoré watched the streams in silence, then finally spoke. If they spill one more drop of blood, we land. But Abidjan didn't wait for salvation. Elderly women blocked tanks. Students reinforced barricades. Côte's hacked radio broadcast boomed across the city. We will bleed if we must, but we will never bow again. The world reacted with fury. The UN splintered. Russia denounced France's cowardly recolonization, while the US issued an unprecedented rebuke. ECOWAS fractured. Nigeria demanded withdrawal. Senegal, France's last ally in the region, condemned the invasion. Then, as dawn broke, the game changed. An unmarked jet landed north of Abidjan. Out stepped Captain Traoré, not in diplomacy's suit, but in battlefield fatigues. Behind him rolled convoys of AES forces, their Sahel flags fluttering in the wind. This wasn't an intervention, it was a reckoning. The message was clear: Africa defends its own now. The streets of Abidjan erupted, not in fear, but in triumph. France's choice was simple: retreat or face a continent united. Abidjan erupted, streets flooded with people chanting, "Traoré is here! No more puppets!" Commander Côte, battle-worn but unbroken, met Traoré outside the National Assembly, now surrounded by barricades of flowers and defiance. No speeches, just a handshake, eyes locked, brothers in arms. In Paris, Macron stood alone in his war room. A secure line crackled to life, one encrypted message from Abidjan: "We don't negotiate with ghosts." Then silence. Traoré stepped forward, fist raised. This isn't a coup, it's history correcting itself. The crowd roared as AES and Ivorian flags waved side by side. Côte stood tall, Traoré stood firm, and Africa stood free.